Yeah, we're back on the SportsMax zone, still talking cricket. And the CEO of Cricket West Indies, Johnny Grave, with us on Zoom as we continue to talk about the administrative side of West Indies cricket and the fact that coming out of the interview with interim coach Andre Kohli yesterday, there were a lot of issues that came up, and Johnny Grave is now with us to probably expand on some of the discussions that we had. So it was made clear by Andre Kohli, Johnny, given his assignment, that there has been a lot of preliminary discussion between himself and the organization about what is required and what is expected and what they hope to achieve on these tours of Southern Africa. You mentioned earlier on the term resetting, coming off the disappointment of the Australia tour. For the makeup of his coaching staff, he was unable yesterday to completely answer what the coaching roster will look like. How far are we away from that? Because I know Roddy Estwick and Monty, as a part of the coaching staff previously, aren't there anymore.
Yeah, I would say we're at the final stages, Lance. I've got contracts that I'm reviewing at the moment that will be sent out tomorrow. So hopefully within the next week, we'll be in a position to confirm that we've made a couple of appointments to join Andre in those two tours of Southern Africa. And if I can answer your earlier question before I get into too much trouble, I did forget people like Nikita Miller in Jamaica and Riyad Emirates and Vishal Singh are on that level 3 along with Shiv Chanderpaul.
Excellent. Yes, I do recall seeing a few names like that, former cricketers that our viewers would recognize if their names were mentioned. So the coaching staff, as you mentioned, within days then we expect his full roster to be known and the team that he would work with. I mentioned to him yesterday, Johnny, that his interaction or his exposure to a lot of the players in West Indies cricket over the past decade or so, remembering that he was the under-19 World Cup coach all the way back in 2010, which is like 13 years ago, gives him a good overarching position with a lot of the players currently playing. Would something like that have influenced or triggered his choice as interim coach, given the sudden departure of Phil Simmons?
Yeah, look, I think the fact that Andre is head coach of our academy and we're placing a huge focus on that academy because we want to create a style of play and a technique in our players from that very early young age. And Andre's obviously been a key part working with Jimmy Adams and the high performance team and trying to establish what is that 12-month program that our academy are now going through. And so for Andre to sort of take all that over the past 12 months, along with all that experience, as you say, he's got, and that knowledge of the players on a personal basis, having worked with them at so many different levels, both with Jamaica or with the Windward Islands, or as you say, with those West Indies assignments, gives him a huge advantage. I think what we're looking to do is we want a certain amount of continuity. We want the players to be very, very comfortable with who their coaching is, but we also want to refresh and give some new energy to that team. Most of that management team had been in place throughout the entire COVID period, which was a very difficult environment in which to operate and work. And we played pretty much, as you know, home and away, back-to-back relentless cricket, if you include people that would have been also enjoying assignments either in the IPL or CPL or both. So I think what we're looking to do is create a new energy within that team. We want it to feel different, but at the same time, so having some degree of familiarity for Andre and the players, I think is hugely positive.
Yeah, so having listened to your answer then, Johnny, it appears to me that he has relative success on this debut tour for him as head coach. Then he could be a strong candidate to get the full-time job if he applies and the CWI would consider it.
Yeah, look, I've genuinely not spoken to Andre about sort of a longer-term assignment. It's been very, very focused on these two tours of Southern Africa, and I know also he's highly committed to and motivated by the opportunity to work in this new academy at our new base here in Antigua at the Coolidge Cricket Ground, which we now fully own, and we've got hugely exciting redevelopment plans to turn that into an even more world-class facility. So whether or not he thinks that the time is right for him to put his name in the hat for the senior men's team head coach on a long-term basis, or whether his passion and motivation is with that next generation in the academy, I don't know. But yeah, as I said earlier, he's certainly got the coaching credentials to be a good candidate, hence why he's got the interim engagement.
Let's talk revenues and performance now, Johnny, because is it that your financial year accords with the calendar year, January to December?
No, our financial year is October to September, so we closed last year's finances September 30th, and we're now in a new financial year.
All right. Well, all right. Indulge me then, though. The year 2022, even though it's not your financial year, that period, it's different. How did CWI's finances stand up over the course of the year? I want to say coming out of a difficult period, but we still are in a difficult period where the attraction of revenues and the performance of the commercial machinery are constrained by obvious factors. So what was that performance like over the 12 months up to December 2022?
Yeah, as I briefly mentioned earlier, it was a record year for us. So, yeah, we were just over $70 million in revenue, a record year for us in terms of turnover, buoyed obviously by the fact that we were able to get spectators back into the grounds, and we were able to have a long tour and visit by both England and India, the two biggest teams in terms of being commercially attractive to our sponsors and broadcasters. So it was a highly successful year, much needed. You know, we came into COVID with a very weak balance sheet, and it only got worse. So to have generated surpluses of more than $20 million last year was very well needed. But we do need, and I must emphasise, we need another very good year in 2023 to be anywhere near sort of back onto a completely even keel. And we're expecting that because we've got India coming this summer. We've got England again, as I said, sort of in December of next year. And then 2024 is forecast to be a very, very good year because we've got the enormously exciting T20 World Cup that we're hosting in June of that year for the ICC. And so, hopefully with two very strong financial years forecast off the back of a record year in 22, West Indies cricket will actually be very, very robust footing and a strong financial foundation, probably for the first time in certainly my time in Cricket West Indies, dating back to 2017, and probably for much longer before then. And as I said, now we've completed this acquisition of Coolidge Cricket Ground, 20 acres of land by the airport, already an ICC accredited stadium. That's the first real massively valuable asset the board has ever had. So our balance sheet from next year, when that goes onto our books and leading into that 2024 year with the World Cup and hopefully increased ICC revenues coming from their new cycle of events that starts after the World Cup next year in 23. We're going all the way through to 31. It's going to be, we're going to get some more resources in to do the necessary changes we need to improve and enhance the overall system within the Caribbean.
So if we made, thank you for that. If we may distill what you've said for use by our viewers in conversation, is it that you spoke about the record year that you had, the 70 million in revenues? That's different from saying that you are doing well. So is it that you're saying that you need another year like the one you just had to be said to be doing well?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, look, in basic terms, if we use golfing parlance, we're not quite back to par yet. We've had a very, very good year. We've had a record round of shooting 64, but we're still not back at par overall. And next year we're forecast if we have the year that we're very confident we'll have, we'll have genuine cash reserves for the first time in a long time, leading into a year where we won't have to deplete those cash reserves. We'll actually increase and improve them. So with good financial management, good decision making, we will have, as I say, a very strong balance sheet come 2024. And the next couple of years are all about improving our financial resources and then making very good decisions about how we invest and allocate those resources to make the maximum long-term difference on our cricket system.
So all right, so Johnny. So I'm even reluctant to say that you have fiscal space because you don't quite have it yet, even though you're going into that direction where you'll have the fiscal space to take on some additional spending. But there's often been a concern among Caribbean cricket fans, and I heard it recently. I had two trips to Barbados back to back, so I was talking with some locals, and they love their cricket very much. And the lament was about how little cricket was on the TV every day, even though there has been increased coverage in very recent times where people can access the cricket. So they're talking about cricket on the TV. And I was saying, well, perhaps it is that cricket on the TV in the way we are used to it. Perhaps that's not the way the Cricket West Indies is going. Perhaps it is that the model is being built out to have the cricket accessible on mobile devices. So it's not really cricket on TV that should be the concern. It's about the accessibility of cricket and the regional competitions being put on a platform where a child inquisitive enough or a cricket fan of whatever age can go somewhere, click on an app, click on a website, and they're able to enjoy the cricket. Is the fiscal space there to go in that direction, to satisfy that need from the region to see more of regional cricket on something, whether terrestrial television as we know it or the smart devices that abound now?
Yeah, no, we've invested quite a lot in streaming over the last few years. I think all of our professional tournaments for the men and women are streamed live on our YouTube channel that has over 3 million subscribers now to it, albeit clearly the huge volume of that comes to the Indian subcontinent, who obviously adore their cricket. Yeah, look, it's a combination of trying to be as clever as we can in terms of maximising revenue, but also balancing that against ensuring that we can be as accessible as possible to all fans. So we're exclusive in the last 12 months on ESPN Caribbean for all of our men's and women's internationals. For all of our regional cricket, it's been live on YouTube. We're yet to get any real traction from terrestrial Caribbean TV companies about taking those feeds and scheduling those events. Obviously, cricket, particularly the longer formats, lasts all day, and it's not really realistic for some of our regional TV companies to schedule an entire day for local regional cricket rather than the international product. But yeah, we're working very hard to use all those mediums, and as I said, be as smart as we can be as well to try and maximise revenue, and where we can't maximise revenue, we maximise reach.
Yeah. Commercially speaking, again, you speak about some new revenue opportunities that should come in the near future. But 3 years down the road, does Cricket West Indies have a projection based on commercial opportunities and arrangements now to see where we should be in 3 years' time? And the plans that you have made for the development of the cricket in the region, are they tied to those projections down the road?
Yeah, they are. It's linked really to your first question around how can you assess Cricket West Indies' financial performance. I'm a big believer, and the board have now agreed that really to assess our financial performance, you have to look over a 4-year cycle. If you were to assess our financial performances on the back of an India tour, obviously they'd be very strong, but it's how we really perform financially when we're hosting a Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, a lower economic tour, and it's looking at our finances then in the context of a 4-year cycle that really gives you a picture of whether we are performing financially or not. And clearly what we are forecasting now, and we've done a budget all the way through to 2027, is some very, very good years, 22, 23, 24, and surprise, surprise, they need to be very good years because 25 and 26 are not forecast to be as strong years. Clearly we're doing lots of things commercially, and as I say, hopefully with ICC too, to mitigate what we know will be shortfalls in 25 and 26. But being able to budget and forecast over a 5-year programme has allowed us to make some strategic investments, hence the acquisition of Coolidge Cricket Ground, hence the new initiative that we haven't announced yet, but we will be shortly, where we've now got 2 medical practitioners full-time in each of the territories. So we've got a full-time physiotherapist, a full-time strength and conditioning coach working in each of the 6 territories under the central team, so that we can rehab players and make sure that they're working on their fitness and conditioning, so we can get stronger, fitter, faster players at all levels of our system. And it's things like that we're doing, including the academies that we spoke about, the women's CPL and other initiatives that that confidence of the budgeting process over 4 years is allowing us to do.
Last one, we're out of time, but I have to squeeze this last one in. Is it fact, Johnny, that the marketing brand, Cricket West Indies, are we able, given the performance of the team over several consecutive years now, is that brand able to extricate premium value from commercial opportunities as it did in cycles before?
Well, I think obviously what's happened is the commercial market has grown enormously. So whilst we're probably not necessarily, I would say, at the top of that commercial tree, The revenues have still grown year on year, but that's really because the market of cricket around the world has grown rather than necessarily West Indies brand and product. We're still the second sort of favourite team in the world of most cricket fans. The brand is still loved, arguably more outside the region than within it, although there's enormous passion for cricket, as we know, within the Caribbean. But clearly, success on the field does have a halo effect to all your revenues, not just ticketing, but also in the long term, broadcast and sponsorship. So returning to winning ways, competing on the field, representing the region proudly and competing hard, right to the final overall ball of matches and in series is enormously important in terms of maximising every single revenue opportunity that we have. And as you say, getting that halo effect and that prime amount of revenue.
Hear you on that. Thank you very much for speaking with us, Johnny. All the best to you.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Cheers.
Johnny Grave, Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies. Good to know that the revenues are trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
Not yet strong, he says, but another year like the one we had, and we'll be in a good place.
Yeah. There's optimism.
And I just like to, there are certain things as a business you have to take a hit on. For instance, public transport. No country that runs a public transport service makes a profit off it. Nowhere in the world.
But it's essential, no matter how you look at it.
You run it, you take a loss on it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Cricket West Indies take a loss on the broadcast of the cricket, which is why I was asking, well, if there's the fiscal space to say, you know what, we're earning money here, so we can lose some here. Put it on the TV, put it in the wheelhouse of persons to access
This is regional cricket,
and that's the
to
point.
make it more visible
Regional,
to the fans in the region.
Take a loss on it. Easy for me to say, I'm not running the business, but I think from outside looking in,
and for the fans.
That's something that the fans would really appreciate.
I
Break
think
time.
so too, yeah.
Thank you for watching SportsMax on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and to click the notification bell to stay informed.